Hi, my name is Magdalena, and today I'm going to be doing a video where I go over my choices for the Single Shadows Tag 2.0 hosted by Cassie, a Makeup Journey. So a quick rundown, this tag has 10 questions and they're all about single shadows within your collection. This is a little bit different than the one she did last year. There are some new prompts in it. So if you're interested in hearing my choices, seeing some runners up, and maybe learning a little bit about me and the preferences I have and why I have them, then stay tuned. So the first prompt is, what is your current favorite single? And I chose Fogbow, which is by Shine by SD and part of the Earthborn collection in collaboration with Seeking Shifts. So the iridescents in her collection, they're all very complex and dimensional. They all have a bit of a base pigment and then a different like sparkling pigment on top. So this one has kind of like a greenish, kind of like a minty greenish pigment underneath. It doesn't show up great on camera, unfortunately, and it doesn't even really show up great in real life, at least on my skin tone, but I think it just gives it that little edge, makes it a little bit more dimensional. And then it has a pink to a like peach, orange, and gold shift on top. I find this one to be interesting and I've been really enjoying it. So yeah, that's why it's my choice. For my runners up, I have Alpenglow, which is from the exact same collection, which probably doesn't really surprise anyone because I absolutely love that collection. And Genesis from Lethal. I think just for the summer, I've been really enjoying these kind of cooler bases, but like a sheer cool base. And then the dimensional pink shifts on top. So yeah, definitely in the same family, but I do think Fogbow has been the winner. And I feel like next to these, you see that green base a little bit more. You notice it more when it's compared to something. Otherwise, it just kind of looks like a normal iridescent, but it adds something. It's really pretty. I really like this one. It's really underrated. The second prompt is, what was your favorite single before your current favorite? And I chose Coated from Shine by SD, which is an iridescent with an orange gold to a yellow gold to like an antique green gold to a green, and then even a bit of a turquoise shift at the end there. I've been really enjoying kind of a gold iridescence on top of a cooler base, so I've been wearing this one a lot. But I have kind of moved out of that as the summer's gone on. So yeah, that's why it's my past favorite and not my current. For my runners up, we have Moonlight from Shine by SD and Gilding from Clionadh. As you can see, they're all pretty much in the same family, but Coating is one out just because I think it's the most shifty of them all. But they are all very beautiful and I do enjoy all of them. The third prompt is, what is your favorite one and done shadow? And I chose Torch from Shine by SD. So this one has a pink to gold reflect to it. And obviously it's not the most sparkly, it's not the most shifty, but it's just delicate. I find if I just want something pretty for every day, something that makes you feel like, the fairy princess kind of vibe, this is what I go for. And I've been obsessed with wearing this shadow ever since I got it, so this was an easy choice for me. For my runners up, I have Baroque from Clionadh and Moonlight from Shine by SD. Now, these are all pretty different. Baroque just has the perfect pink color for me, just really flattering with my undertones. And Moonlight, it's a lot more dimensional than I think this camera is picking up, unfortunately. But it has a lot of multicolored sparkle throughout it. And then the base is just that kind of nice, like taupey base. So it's really nice for a one and done. But I do like all of these. I do wear all of these quite frequently. It's just that Torch is, my special one. The fourth prompt is a single shadow that you feel is underrated. And I chose Halo from Shine by SD for this. So on the surface, this just appears to be a typical pink, turquoise, green shifting iridescent, but it has a very dimensional sparkle throughout it, which I don't know if my camera's really picking up great, unfortunately. But it's really pretty, and I've never heard anyone talk about this shadow. So it was an easy choice for me because I love this one. I wear it all the time, and I just think it's something special. So my runners up are shadows I've already talked about. That's Fogbow and Coated. Again, I think Coated is just a really interesting, very shifty shadow, and Fogbow, again, dimensional and unique, and it's just not really talked about in the same way that Nacre and Ice Blink are. The fifth prompt is a single shadow that you feel does not deserve the hype. And I chose Carving from Clionadh. Now, there's nothing wrong with this shadow. I just feel like it's so basic. I have so many shadows that are the like brown based with the green forward shift. This one just, it's really basic. It's fine. I could have replaced this with like 4 or 5 other shadows. I just kind of picked one that I feel like people hyped up the most of them. And I feel like people hype this one up a lot, especially when you have Chandelier, which is kind of similar but has more of an interesting base to it. I kind of wish I had gotten that one instead, because this one is just, it's pretty basic. I never wear it. My runners up are also from Clionadh. Sorry, Clionadh, I feel like I'm beating you up here. This is Grisaille, and I wish I had gotten Abrasion, basically. I find the blue browns can be similar to the blue greens, just they're so common. There's nothing special about it, and it's got too warm of a base for me. So yeah, I wish I had gotten the cooler one, and there's nothing special about it. And my other option is Statue Garden, which is beautiful, but it's difficult. First off, it's much less sparkly than the rest of the collection. It's a little patchy, a little hard to blend out, but the biggest problem is it looks like a bruise. Anytime I wear it, I look like I've bruised my eye. So it's just not flattering. It's a vibe, but I think it's kind of hyped up as being this great spicy neutral when I think it's a little too spicy to be a neutral. Kind of like a goth neutral, but still not the best goth neutral. Prompt 6 is a single shadow that represents your favorite singles brand. So unsurprisingly, my favorite brand is Shine by SD, and I chose the shade Twinkling, which has a brown base and a blue to purple shift, but it also has like dimensional sparkles all throughout it that have like green and pink. So it's hard to describe the color really, especially when looking at it on a camera, but it is super sparkly. I chose this one because I feel like this whole Sparkle Lights collection really just perfectly encapsulates Shine by SD. It's sparkly, the formula is great, it wears well, there's great variety within it, so I love this whole collection. So for my runners up, I kept with the theme of the Sparkle Lights collection. This is Charm, and this one is Glow Up. I chose Twinkling because I felt like it was a little bit more colorful, whereas these two are a little bit more neutral. And I feel like Shine by SD does a really good job with kind of like more spicy neutrals. Like so many of my favorite interesting neutrals come from them. So I thought Twinkling was the best option, but all 3 of them I think are a great example of the super sparkly, dry, but really long wearing formula that Shine by SD does. The 6th prompt is a single that you grew to like. So this is Arsenic from Lethal, and I think you can see why I didn't really like it at first. It's quite satin, it's quite dull, but I kind of discovered that this is a really nice highlighter color, so I'm really glad I have it for that, and I actually would really like to have more colors in this formula to use as highlighters because it is actually really smooth, nice highlighter formula. So for the runners up, I have Flashed Glass from Clionadh and Antimatter from Lethal. For Antimatter, it's just kind of dull and not as sparkly or as shiny as the other shades that I got at the same time as it. But similar to Arsenic, it has a place being, like a highlighter or being a base for a more kind of high impact, flakier iridescent topper on top. And then Flash Glass, it's like ultraviolet. And I didn't really realize it in the pan, so I often skipped over it. But once I actually wore it on the eye, I realized it is a very high impact and very beautiful. For the next prompt, I decided I would choose the Treasure palette from Shine by SD. So this palette was given to me by Dreaming in Multichrome, Jen, when I lost all of my Shine by SD iridescence. This, as well as a couple others, she gifted me. And this one in particular, it was out of stock at the time. And Shaniqua, the owner of Shine by SD, really went above and beyond to help her find this palette so that I would be able to replace it after it broke. So this palette, it's just very special to me. And I'm going to get a little teary, so I'm going to stop now. There were so many runners up, but I just fit what I could on my hand here. So this is Cookie Dough from Looksy, but really any Looksy shade makes me think of Hot Vegan Hannah. This is Radar from Shine by SD, which makes me think of Seeking Shifts. This is Synth from Lethal, and this one reminds me of, I'm preemptively saying sorry if I mispronounce your name, but Regina's Makeup Stash. This is Palace, which makes me think of Catherine B. And this is Glam Rush, which makes me think of Lauren May Beauty. But again, there's so much more. There's so many great creators out here that have kind of turned me into a specific shadow, or that I think of a specific type of shadow when I think of them. These were just ones that came to my mind first and I could fit on my hand. The 9th prompt is a shadow you would pay double for, and I chose Palm Angel from Shine by SD, which is a semi-iridescent pink to gold. This is part of their Hidden Gems collection, which are quite affordable, but they're extremely sparkly, extremely dimensional. So I chose this
for
one.
my runners-up,
It's my favorite of the ones I have, but there's also some really beautiful ones in the collection that
if there was nothing else like it on the market, I would probably pay double for. I think it's only about $8, and it is one of my favorite everyday shadows. And then I chose the Reserve collection from Shine by SD. I believe these are about $7, $7 or $8. And there's 4 shades that I would have picked up for the same price as the entire collection of 7. And that is Reserve 2, Reserve 3, Reserve 4, and Reserve 5. The others I don't wear as much, so I wouldn't have included those, but these ones I think I would have picked up for double, assuming I couldn't dupe them from any other brand. And our final prompt is a single shadow that represents you. I chose Fairyland from Shine by SD, which is a blue to indigo to purple and pink iridescent. This was a tough question because I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be more symbolic or more about preferences, or more about things that like other people might think of you as. So I figured I should use a Shine by SD shadow. I've been told from other people that they think of me when they see that brand. And it had to be an iridescent because those are my favorite. And I figured a cool tone worked both like symbolically as well as for my general preferences. And my runners up are Fantasy from Shine by SD and Elegant also from Shine by SD. Fantasy, it's actually one of my absolute favorite shadows. But I felt it was a little bit more like warmer, a little bolder, with the none of the blue in it, just straight into that indigo. And then Elegance. Well, first off, I didn't want people to think that I was calling myself elegant and like being really big-headed. I do love this shadow. I think it's a close runner-up. I think both of them are close runner-ups. But I do think an iridescent made more sense for me. So yeah, that's what I went with. Okay, so that's the end of it. Thank you for watching, and thank you again for Cassie for hosting this tag. I've really enjoyed it. I can't wait to see what everybody else's choices are and why they've made these choices. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video, learning a bit about my collection, my preferences, and about me. Again, thank you for watching. Bye.